Hello, my name is Richard Helms, and this is my presentation on a new Windows 8 feature as well as my two favorite Windows 8 applications. But first I would like to talk about my research on Windows 8. In my research on Windows 8, I found that there is a considerable amount of information about Windows 8.1. You could almost say Windows 8 doesn't really exist anymore. About 3 months ago, I upgraded my Dell laptop to version 8.1. I personally like 8.1 better than the Windows 8 that was originally installed on my laptop. The new start menu and the new search function, among a handful of other improvements, is better in Windows 8.1. Now the new Windows 8.1 feature. One of the new revamped Windows 8.1 features is Secure Boot. The new Secure Boot process is enabled by default on all new Windows 8 PCs. Secure Boot will prevent unauthorized operating systems from loading. Secure Boot will prevent malware from loading on your Windows 8 machine by loading an early launch anti-malware driver called ELAM. Secure Boot uses concealed signatures to certify that the operating system software is licensed to load and that it hasn't been tampered with. Secure Boot additionally secures the Windows boot configuration and components and then loads the ELAM driver, which starts for other boot start drivers and enables the analysis of those drivers and helps the Windows 8 kernel determine whether the drivers should be initialized. By being launched initially by the kernel, ELAM is ensured to launch ahead of third-party drivers that may be initialized and therefore able to identify any malware in the boot process and prevent it from initializing. Before each boot driver is loaded, the Windows kernel initiates a callback to the ELAM driver to authenticate the trustworthiness of the driver being initialized. There's another component of Windows 8 that interacts with Secure Boot called Measured Boot. The goal of Secure Boot, along with Measured Boot, is to improve the efficiencies of anti-malware solutions to provide security on the Windows operating system. The Measured Boot component provides anti-malware software with a trusted log of all boot components that are initialized before the anti-malware software. Anti-malware software can use a log to figure out whether components that ran before it are trustworthy versus contaminated with malware. The Measured Boot feature has a dependency on a Trusted Platform module called TPM being present on the system. Both Secure Boot and Measured Boot can be used individually or can be combined to increase the overall effectiveness of anti-malware software. Microsoft recommends use of both features when the hardware supports a Trusted Platform module. Now, believe it or not, there are some concerns about Secure Boot. These concerns about Microsoft Secure Boot may surprise a few people. On PC World's website, Ian Paul wrote, "Many digital rights advocates worry that Secure Boot will give users less control over their PCs and even less security, arguing that the Secure Boot process will inevitably be hacked. Another concern is that Secure Boot will make it challenging to install Linux or other operating systems on a Windows 8 computer. The Secure Boot process in Windows 8 is primarily designed to protect users from rootkits and other low-level malware attacks by preventing unauthorized executables and drivers from being loaded for the duration of the process. So there should be no concerns about Secure Boot. Therefore, it appears the Secure Boot feature, along with its partner, the Measured Boot feature, seems to be a great new update to Windows 8. Now, my favorite Windows 8 applications: food and drink and sports. But first, I would like to start by talking about the Windows 8.1 applications. The default applications that come with Windows 8 are called Metro apps. After the official presentation of Windows 8, all the apps were referred to as Metro-style apps in reference to the Metro design language. The term was phased out in August of 2012. Microsoft stated that Metro was only a code name that would be replaced prior to Windows 8's release. Microsoft came up with 3 different terms: modern UI style apps, Windows 8 style apps, and Windows Store apps to refer to all the available Windows 8 applications. This came off of the website Wikipedia. Therefore, the term Metro was adopted by the general public to refer to all these apps. Now I would like to talk about my favorite Windows 8.1 applications. I have found that I like to use the food and drink application. I get thousands of recipes, instructional videos, and tips from renowned chefs. With this application, as I scroll from right to left, there are several sections listed by categories. These categories are recipes, tips and techniques, food culture, chefs, wine, cocktails, and then next steps. The category that I'm most interested in is recipes. I also like the tips and techniques section. I like to cook and love finding new recipes to try, and really like all the cooking tips that are included with this app. The snapshot below shows the recipe section, and what is good about this section is the allrecipes.com link. I have found some good recipes on this site and tried a few the last couple of months. The next snapshot shows the category that is at the end of the right to left scroll called Next Steps. What is good about this section is the list that is shown on the right. There are more recipes to find, and I truly like to add to your shopping list plugin of this app. I have found that I also like to use the sports application. I can keep up with all the sports and teams I care about with live tile updates on my favorite teams. I also scroll from left to right, where there are several sections listed by categories. These categories are scoreboard, top stories, my news, favorite teams, favorite sports, videos, slideshows, and then next steps. The category that I'm most interested in is my favorite teams. I also like the my news section. My most 2 favorites pro sports are baseball and football, and I am a diehard fan of both the Braves and the Cowboys. The snapshot below shows my favorite teams and my favorite sports sections. What is good about this section is that all I have to do is click on one of my teams, and it gives me all the relative news and that team's upcoming schedule, as well as the teams standing in their division. The next snapshot shows what is in my news section. As you can see, all the news is about my 2 favorite teams. With my favorite teams and my news, I can never miss seeing anything that has to do with the teams that I always pull for. That is my presentation for today. Thank you.